What is going on, guys? Grave here. Today we're going to have the review for the high-end Navy MP5. This is a weapon that you can pick up in, I think it's level 6 Dark Zone. If you're in 32 Dark Zone, it's the very top safe house. As far as you can go in 32, you either can buy the weapon outright for a little over 200 Phoenix credits, or you can buy the blueprint for the weapon for around 154, 155 Phoenix credits. I bought the blueprint. And we'll kind of talk about the weapon, kind of can see how it competes with some of the other subs in the game. We'll get into statistics here. And guys, just a reminder, as you guys probably know, most of you have played, we'll talk about this real quick. If you swap your weapons up, primary and secondary DPS, you're going to get a different DPS depending on what weapon is in what slot. And always remember that. You know, you may back out here and it shows one thing. Sometimes you have to give it a second. And you'll come back in and the weapon may have a higher DPS. Sometimes it takes a second to catch up. But always remember that when running your weapons. A lot of people say, well, I had a higher DPS on this weapon or this weapon at one point. And that is a lot of the reason. A lot of the reason is that sometimes a weapon on secondary or primary slot, as you can see, it shows 131 DPS. When I really go in here, I run it on my secondary, it's 121. It's going to depend on the weapon you're running, the gear you have on, the mods you have on. It's going to kind of change up your weapon's damage and your weapon's DPS, you know, depending on if it's in your primary or secondary slot. So you may not always have to have, you think, like a assault rifle or something in your primary slot. Sometimes you have to run the sub or the shotgun to get the best DPS out of your assault rifle, just depending on what gear you are running. But anyways, I'll kind of let you guys know that. We're going to look into the Navy MP5N and kind of see what I have on it. Of course, I did buy the blueprint. We have a 25% critical hit chance. Damage is 8,984. Rate of fire is 800. That is the base rate of fire of the weapon. I do not have any attachments on it to make the rate of fire higher. So it is a little bit quicker than your vectors or your AUGs. Of course, a magazine, I do have a magazine that increases the mag size. Of course, I do have 62 in the mag. Of course, my DPS on this weapon is 121,000. I put some different gear on, bump my DPS and firearms up. I can get this weapon right around 145 to 150. But I kind of prefer running it right here at 121. It's a good secondary weapon like that. Accuracy on the weapon is very good. Reload speed is very quick. Range, of course, is low. Kind of like, you know, a vector. You kind of think the same range as the vector. You can get some attachments optic-wise to, you know, kind of extend the range. But I was kind of keeping this for an up-close and personal weapon. You'll see why here in a minute. Well, kind of the things I'm running on it. Stability is good. And, of course, the stability is even better with the talent that I have here on it. Stability is improved by 46%. Now, of course, all you guys know, if you buy the blueprint, you may not get the same talents as I do. You know, you're going to get random talents. So always keep that in mind. You're not always going to have these exact same talents. And then, of course, we have killing a target with this weapon removes all status effects. I don't mind that talent. I would like to have something else, but, you know, kind of get what you get when you roll the weapon. I may build another one later on to see if I can get something a little different. And, of course, last but not least, critical hit chance is increased by 13% while in full health, which is pretty helpful. Of course, here's the attachments that I'm running. I'm running an extended mag that increases magazine size by 95% and weapon damage. I did not feel the need to have anything on with a higher rate of fire. I did try a higher rate of fire magazine that gave me faster rate of fire and magazine size. One was faster rate of fire and faster reload. It's already 800 rounds a minute. I didn't feel the need. I feel like I was using more ammunition than I needed. I was missing more shots, so I kind of like the setup like it is. Like I said, 800 rounds a minute is definitely fast enough. For me anyway. Large optic, of course, a headshot damage is 17% and, of course, 6.5% critical hit chance. I'm trying to find me an optic that I do not have to take off one of my other weapons that will extend my range just a little bit, and that is what I'm looking for. Just hadn't quite got what I need just yet. Of course, the muzzle that I'm running is a 26%, or excuse me, 26.5% horizontal stability and plus 31 critical hit damage. I like the ones that you can get true critical hit damage on and just not critical hit chance. Sometimes you get stuck with critical hit chance, but if you can find some critical hit damage or craft some critical hit damage muzzles and optics and things like that, definitely go for that instead. And of course, last but not least, my grip that I'm running on is going to have 21% accuracy and 34.5% hip fire accuracy. Of course, this is a level 31 item. Anything you buy from the the very top Dark Zone vendor in level 32 is always a level 31 item. The reason that I've kind of designed the weapon the way I have is, first of all, the hip fire was one reason. It's a submachine gun. You want to be able to spray and pray real quick up close and personal, and you can kind of see why I like that hip fire on there in case you have to kind of spray and back up, you know, if you're playing something and an enemy is attacking you really quick. Of course, at a distance, if I just let this baby fly, it's going to be pretty much a straight vertical recoil. You're going to kick side to side just a hair, but nothing too bad. Of course, you can see the burst. It's kind of like the Vector. I think the AUG is probably one of the more accurate high-end submachine guns. It doesn't have a lot of recoil to it with the right attachments on it. The Vector and the Of course, this MP5 has a higher rate of fire than either one of those weapons, so you're going to get a little bit more recoil because it shoots fast. But of course, if you just tap fire, even at a distance, you can get a lot of good shots. And of course, with that vertical recoil on it, you get a little bit of stability help with some of your weapons. Most of your verticality is going to end up as a headshot instead of end up over the target or past the target. Guys, this is a really, really good submachine gun. I think it's one that can definitely compete with the Vector, depending on the kind of way you want to build it. You can make it a very high damage weapon. You know, if you have some very high firearms, very high DPS, that kind of thing, and you have some gear on that supports that, you'll definitely get some big damage out of this. I can get the damage up to around 10.5k with some of my other gear on, but this is the way I like to run it, like I said, and this is just the way that I like to run the weapon, right around 9,000 damage. But of course, if you want a high DPS weapon that's really up close and personal, you can definitely design it that way. The gun's kind of an all-purpose weapon. You can design it kind of like I have for more stability. You can even get more stability and range out of it than I have. You know, you could go even further with it. So you can kind of have a middle-of-the-road weapon, a high-damage weapon, or a very accurate weapon, just depending on what you're looking for. Of course, you know your statistics are always going to change DPS and damage when you're doing those things, but it just depends on what you need for your loadout and your build. But this is definitely a gun. I think if you have the Phoenix credits and you are level 50 in the Dark Zone, you definitely need to take a trip up to level 32 Dark Zone and take a trip to the safe house and purchase this weapon, because I think it's one of those that is probably a must-have submachine gun, especially if you're a submachine gun fan. Guys, leave me a comment. Let me know if you've picked up the MP5 yet, and let me know what you think about it. Of course, if you like the video, hit the like. If you have not subscribed yet, please do so, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.